shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
We're looking at a major ice storm for parts of the viewing area starting tomorrow night. I'll show you everything you need to know about the timing, what you'll see, and how to get prepared.
Road prep underway. Brine trucks have been out in full force ahead of the major ice storm. Why timing matters and how it can help keep you safe. Verdict watch. The jury is back at it today in the Orange County double murder case. What they decide could come down to one key question. Does the evidence back up the self-defense claim? Good morning, everyone. It is 4:30. A significant ice storm is on the way, and we are here to guide you through what you need to know. You're in the right place as the specifics of the forecast are coming together. Let's get right to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Elizabeth, first, anything changed overnight that people need to know?
It hasn't. We're still looking at a considerable amount of accumulating ice on trees and power lines, which brings us a major ice storm for most of the viewing area. It may end up being more moderate along the I-95 corridor and eastward because of the temperature. The closer we get to the ocean, the warmer it is. So the closer you are to the east, the better chance that you'll have of maybe fewer power outages, but you still want to prepare. I mean, we're still talking about what we could see a moderate ice storm across our area. So just be prepared for that, certainly across our area. We're going to see the timeline looking like this. Today is a day where we're going to see mainly cloudy skies. Expect some light showers out there this afternoon. And even this morning, you may run into some of that as you're traveling. We're not likely to see that causing a big problem for us today. Most likely, we'll have that highest risk for power outages from the Triangle area northward and westward. And then that goes down, as I mentioned, as you travel eastward, just because it may be a little warmer and there could be a little more rain mixing in with that freezing rain. Right now, we do have the winter storm watch that is still in effect, but it is likely to either change to a winter weather advisory or a winter storm warning for parts of our viewing area at some point this morning. So this is still a high impact winter storm. It is an ice storm with multiple power outages, and just expect that that's going to be you. Hazardous travel is likely as well. Again, the timing of this is going to be starting late on Saturday into Saturday evening, Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday, and even into Wednesday. We're talking about dangerous cold. Here's a look at what we're seeing this morning. Just a few light showers that are down in our southern counties. Again, not likely to be a big issue for the morning commute, but we'll have the potential for some showers on and off into the early part of the afternoon. Here's a look at Fayetteville. You can see the street there. Hay Street looks a little bit damp this morning. We've seen the showers mostly in the south, and we're well above freezing right now. Temperature 40 in the Triangle, and we'll climb into the upper 40s for this afternoon. Coming up, we're going to talk more about the ice totals that you could see where you are and how to prepare.
Brine trucks have been out in full force this week, getting the roads ready for the ice storm. This treatment is aimed at helping make the roads harder to freeze. WRAL's Ali Calabar is live on I-40 this morning. And Ali, NCDOT says some areas may need to be retreated ahead of possible rain today.
Renee, NCDOT crews already had to rebrine parts of I-40 yesterday because of the rain, and we just heard Elizabeth talk about those light showers today. Well, NCDOT says that the rain won't strip a road of all the treatment. It's still effective, just not as effective. Now, we've seen crews treat 6,000 miles of road over the last 2 days. If there's heavy rain today, they'll make a decision on where to rebrine. Now, once the storm comes in, they plan to use salt treatment, but even though they are prepping the roads, NCDOT says stay home if you can.
I want to emphasize the importance of being home or in a safe space before the freezing rain even begins, because once it's on the road, driving it will be nearly impossible and very, very dangerous.
And once DOT crews are able to make it out on the roads, they say that they have contractors on standby to move trees out of the way. Now, here's the thing. NCDOT says stay inside, stay out of the way so that they can safely prep the roads and make sure that they are safe as quickly as possible. Reporting live in Raleigh, Ali Calabar, WRAL News.
NCDOT will share an update on their preparations for this weekend's ice storm today. They are holding a news conference at the Wake County Maintenance Yard in Raleigh. It starts at 10 a.m. We will be there and pass along any updates. If you are planning to fly over the next few days, officials at RDU say crews will be working around the clock to remove ice from planes and runways. Officials say they've been preparing their winter weather protocol since September. RDU has 60 tons of solid de-icer to help clear the runways. And with ice in the forecast, crews are changing their method, focusing more on pre-treating.
It's a lot harder with ice just because the equipment is going to kind of slip a little bit when we have ice. So your strategy just has to change. So now we will make sure that we do our pre-treat application and treat it a little bit heavier and rely a lot heavier on our liquid and solid de-icer materials.
Their goal is to have at least one runway clear for takeoff and landing at all times. Utility companies around the area are calling in reinforcements to make sure they have enough crews and equipment for this weekend. The companies tell us if the power goes out during these low temperatures, it could be dangerous for some. Durham's deputy fire chief is asking you to stay home because these icy conditions can increase the chances of power lines going down.
If you're out and you see down power lines, make sure you stay as far away from them as possible because you can't tell if they're live.
Another reason officials want you to stay home is drivers on icy roads put utility crews at risk while they're making repairs. Utility companies are also asking for you to be patient and let the crews complete the repairs. WRAL asked Governor Josh Stein during a news conference yesterday about his confidence in the power grid, given issues we've had in the past. He told us he believes in the linemen around the state to respond quickly and efficiently.
What authority does the state have right now if utilities or private contractors fail to restore service quickly, and are you prepared to use it?
I am very confident in the leading utility, Duke Energy, as well as all the electric co-ops and electricities, that they are taking this storm very seriously, and they are bringing in assets from other states that are not as threatened as North Carolina is.
The state plans to deploy crews with chainsaws to cut up any trees that come down, clearing the way for utility crews to work on the power lines. We checked in with school systems across our area about the plans leaders are making and what steps parents should be taking now. Some Wake County students brought home paper packets to work on, so they don't have to take a break from learning next week. Durham and Edgecombe County schools are also working on how students can keep up with coursework at home. Keep in mind, the districts have not canceled school, but they are closely watching the forecasts. And parents tell us they're ready.
Since we have such a huge county, she may be out of school for days because there'll be some part of the county that has bad roads.
And we've seen that from previous winter storms, haven't we? For more on what remote learning will look like, check out the education section on our website, WRAL.com. FEMA has also announced it is deploying over 200 call center operators as well as a significant amount of supplies ahead of the storm. Thousands of meals and water, along with generators and shuttle drivers, are on their way to Louisiana. The agency is also sending 50 other shuttle drivers and supplies to states set to be impacted. We're working to learn if any of those resources will be sent to North Carolina. 28 search and rescue teams are also on standby. The Durham Rescue Mission is making sure everyone has a safe and warm place to go during the storm. The organization will hand out care packages with socks, hand warmers, snacks, and water. It's also planning to expand shelter capacity and provide hot meals for people who need to come in out of the cold. WRAL has the largest, most experienced severe weather team in North Carolina. Stay with WRAL for live team coverage of weather and road conditions now through the weekend. And be sure to look for updates on TV, online, and our social media pages. Now's the time to make sure you have the WRAL News app to stay connected, even if your power goes out. Make sure you have breaking news and weather alerts turned on. In other news, the jury will be back in session to continue deliberating in the Orange County double murder trial of Isaiah Ross. He finished testifying yesterday morning, and then the defense and prosecution gave their closing arguments. The defense argues Ross shot Devin Clark in self-defense after Clark shot Lyric Woods. The prosecution says that story does not match the evidence.
what happened on September the 17th was not planned. It was not premeditated.
Fear runs away. It does not give chase. It is consistent with the evidence. The victims were moving away.
The jury deliberated for about an hour before breaking for the day yesterday. We will let you know if they come to a decision today. The Buddhist monks are about 30 miles from Raleigh in their 2,300-mile walk for peace. They stopped for the night in Pittsburgh last night and spoke to hundreds. Even some children stayed up late to hear the monks share their message of peace. Here's a look at where the monks are headed today. They will leave the Chatham County Fairgrounds and then walk along US 64 toward Apex. They will stop for lunch at Jordan Lake State Park and end their day at Apex High School. WRAL will keep you informed of where the monks are going, when they get there, and any weather effects they will face. Keep up to date here on WRAL News and on our digital platforms. Major shakeup. The U.S. is officially out of the World Health Organization, and the fallout could be felt worldwide. What this means for America's role moving forward. Plus, dangerous cold. Millions are under winter weather alerts this weekend, and the biggest threat may not be what you think. How to spot the warning signs of frostbite before it turns serious. And let's give you a live look at Pittsburgh this morning. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will break down the timing for this weekend's icy mix.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
It is 4:44, and we're going to start off with a big picture. What we're seeing today is a little bit of light, patchy rain, but we could see that on and off for a good chunk of the day today. We're not yet seeing this system taking shape and starting to bring wintry weather anywhere. But as the day goes on, we will start to see it. I'm going to walk you through Futurecast and sort of show you how this whole thing evolves over the next 24 hours. But right now, we're just watching some scattered light rain. That's likely to be with us up until lunchtime, early afternoon. Then our skies will clear, and then the cold air arrives before tomorrow morning. But the precipitation doesn't roll in here until late tomorrow afternoon into the evening. It is 40 in Durham and Raleigh, 49 in Fayetteville, so our temperatures are nowhere close to freezing this morning. So the rain that you're seeing right now is not going to be a big deal. It may make it tricky if you're trying to get outside and do any exercise, but once we get into the late afternoon, we do start to dry out a little bit. Coming up, we're going to talk more about ice amounts and impacts that you could see.
Elizabeth, thank you. Cary police are looking for the people responsible for vandalizing a statue at a Hindu temple. Surveillance video taken around 3 Sunday morning caught 5 people leaving the area before speeding away from that temple. Shortly after, the front of the temple was found damaged. Police are asking anyone with information to call Cary Crime Stoppers. A chase in Wake County sent at least 2 people to the hospital near Hammond Road. The pursuit started after 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. It ended about 5 minutes later, according to police radio traffic. Sky 5 video captured 2 people taken away on stretchers and an arrest of the driver involved. We are still waiting for confirmation from State Highway Patrol. The U.S. is officially no longer a part of the World Health Organization. The Trump administration announced that the withdrawal is complete. All U.S. funding and personnel have officially been recalled. This process started last year, you may remember, after President Donald Trump signed an executive order announcing the departure from the WHO. The administration says it is withdrawing because the U.S. was not getting a fair return on its contributions. The U.S. says it will continue to work with other countries on global health issues. FEMA is putting off letting go of hundreds of disaster workers as the agency prepares for this weekend's storm. CNN reports FEMA staff received an email yesterday that the agency would stop offboarding employees whose contracts were expiring in the next few days. FEMA has not said how long the pause will last. Since January, roughly 300 disaster workers have been let go. Only a handful received contract extensions. Millions of people will be under winter weather advisories this weekend as a major storm sweeps across the country. And if you're in one of those states, it's important to be careful. The risk for frostbite is very real. Cleveland Clinic says symptoms of frostbite can vary. In the very early stages, a person may notice their skin feels cold and tingly. Eventually, that will turn into numbness. Now, if it gets to that point, it's important to seek medical care right away. Minor frostbite can be treated at home by running the affected area under warm water. Here's the thing, do not use hot water as that can make the injury worse. But it's not just frostbite we have to worry about. Hypothermia can happen as well.
If you start to exhibit signs and symptoms of hypothermia, which initially can be shivering, slowed movement, clumsiness, but left to progress turns into altered mental status and things, you want to warm that person up as quickly as possible and then get them to the hospital.
Dr. Waters says it's also a good idea to make sure you have emergency supplies in your vehicle should you get stuck in the winter weather. And that includes things like a blanket, extra clothes, hand warmers, non-perishable food, and water. And all those supplies you'll want to stock up today for your home as well, as we are preparing for potential power outages that could last for days because of this ice storm, Elizabeth.
That's right. It's really going to be a big ice storm. Of course, we've been watching this for quite some time, and we've been watching the potential for this, early on to be snow. We just want to get the word out. This is not going to be a snowstorm. There's really not going to be snow except for maybe up near the Virginia line very briefly as this begins. So a high-risk ice storm for us. This begins Saturday evening. So you still have a little bit of time to plan and prepare. It lasts through Sunday night. And of course, travel will be treacherous. But boy, those power outages are going to be something that's, going to be really, really rough. Let's follow this across the state. Right now, we're not seeing any of this precipitation starting around Texas, but by this evening, it likely will. And the blue shaded area is snow. The pink is where we're going to have ice, maybe some sleet, but mostly freezing rain. And then, of course, the green and the yellow is rain. So we're going to just sort of follow this across the country as it moves in our direction. We stop things here 5 a.m. on Saturday. And at this point, we're nice and dry. We'll pause it again around 8 p.m. on Saturday. And this version of Futurecast definitely shows this beginning as snow. It doesn't last very long. Here's the problem. If we do end up seeing a coating of snow on the roads, that's when the roads are going to get really, really icy when we have the freezing rain and the sleet on top of it. If we only see freezing rain, we may get off a little bit better with the roads, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen. So we could have from 8 p.m. up until midnight, we could have some snow across the area. And then it all changes over to sleet and freezing rain right along the coast. Even some of our eastern counties may start to see that change over to rain as we get into Sunday evening. So this is why we have more of a moderate risk for power outages from Fayetteville up the I-95 corridor and from Raleigh north and west. We're going to stay all freezing rain, and it's going to be really, really messy. So this is Sunday at 5 p.m. That it continues Sunday night, really all the way up until early Monday morning, and then it changes over to rain and it moves on out. And then the cold temperatures are going to be the biggest deal. So for Saturday, we're looking at, of course, 100% chance of precipitation, and that continues into Sunday. How much ice are we looking at? Potentially a half an inch to an inch from, say, I-95 westward, and about a half an inch in our eastern counties. That's going to be enough to cause major power outages. What is freezing rain? Freezing rain happens when snow starts up high and it falls through a warm air in the middle of the atmosphere, and it doesn't have time to refreeze before it hits the ground, so it becomes an icy glaze over trees and power lines, and we have power outages. So we have a raindrop falling through warm air when we have sleet, but there's enough cold air that it has time to refreeze and it makes an ice pellet. And so that's the difference between sleet and freezing rain. Our snow will be short-lived if we see any. An ice storm will develop, and that's going to be the main event out of this. You want to stay off the roads, and we are looking at widespread outages. So make sure that you have reworked your weekend plans and that you're preparing for power outages. Here's a look at what's happening again right now. We took a look at what's going to develop by this evening around Texas. Not seeing that just yet, but a few light showers have popped up in our southern counties, and we'll see that on and off through around lunchtime. We could see that around the triangle as well. We're going to walk through Futurecast for today in just a few minutes. But Fayetteville definitely looking a little damp right now. Temperature is 40 degrees, so we're well above freezing. But overnight tonight, we drop down to 22, and then we'll be below freezing most likely until sometime on Monday. We're going to talk about some of the bitter wind chills and the very cold temperatures we could see early next week coming up.
It will be an extended cold. Elizabeth, thank you. Big honor. UNC alum Drake May is now in the running for the NFL's top award. Why his name is suddenly in MVP talks.